Share sound. Oh. Screen sharing and I want to go full screen. Not that one there, though. So welcome all to this special time of remembering. It was only a week ago, but with travel and work and everything else, for me it was a blessing to be able to sit and prepare and remember, and a real blessing for us to be able to share the wonderful experience that we had last weekend at the Lochside. This was the hymn that was kind of the theme for our time together. So we're going to play that, and then very kindly, Nemo, who some of you will know, who is a Mormon podcaster. Jane, don't tell him I said that, Jane. He'll probably be very offended. Bought a drone and recorded the two baptisms for us from the air. So these haven't been edited, so there's some jerky movement. So apologize for that, and he will be refining them. But this is the story of our time together last weekend. It was a very special time. Gathered on the loch side, a little beach overlooking the water, and being blessed to be a part of the baptism of Jane and Landon. Now, Sue is going to share her experience. We don't need to see the slides for this. Sue is very kindly going to share her thoughts and experience of this, and then after that, Jane is going to share her thoughts. So over to you, Sue.
Thank you. It was lovely to watch it again, and I was very grateful for Nemo to actually do that. I have written this down because I'd have been here all night otherwise. So for Jane and Landon, it was fitting that we came down to the loch shore, because in Scotland, a body of water is called a loch and not a lake. So I think this hymn will always be the loch shore to me from now on. It was in the most perfect space and place. A natural cathedral where the sacredness of creation was truly breathtaking. We walked into the loch together, asking only for you to recommit your lives to the loving Jesus you have found in this faith community. The Jesus you have found knows you both, loves you and cares for you, and most importantly, accepts you both for who you are and who you become in the future. This faith community is more whole because you have and are becoming part of its future. I'm really sorry that Lucy was not able to find that love and acceptance, but we can, with your help, support the other Lucys in this wonderful but troubled world. You both have unique and beautiful spirits and characteristics, full of love and acceptance for all people. Please do not change those characteristics that make you both shine with so much love. You know the strength you have when you can be yourselves, but also know the exhaustion of giving, as we've heard in the hymn, of seeing hurt and supporting people, and of the deep grief you both hold for close friends and strangers that seek your love and support because they feel safe with you. That is living out the mission of Jesus in today's world. Turn to Jesus in your exhaustion because he understands. Even Jesus took time to rest, so you are encouraged to do so too. We acknowledged your previous faith community and your desire to respect that journey and those people. We expect you to call Community of Christ out too if you see an injustice. So Jesus came to call on you both. Jesus has looked into your eyes, just as these people gathered here today can look into your eyes and you in theirs. They are your Jesus people to continue to get to know. They are your balcony people cheering you on and will love, will hold you in dark times and celebrate with you. You have both abandoned what could be perceived as your small boat and have found new seas and a whole new world to explore where you are loved with an everlasting love. It was one of the key standout moments in my ministry to be able to baptize you both in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Your joy and excitement was infectious. We allowed the Spirit to breathe, and we all experienced a Spirit-filled day within the sacredness of creation. We were grateful of the support of everyone that came into the water that day. You could see there was a lot of us there. We were joined by your family and friends from both faith communities, a beautiful blend of the love that people have for you both. We shared in 3 significant and moving sacraments: baptism, confirmation, and communion, all in person and not on a screen, which was lovely. A true welcome to you both for the journey ahead. We all departed from the lock and your home, filled with the Spirit, having been in the presence of God all day. In Doctrine and Covenants 161, 6a, we are all reminded to be faithful to the spirit of the restoration, mindful that it is a spirit of adventure, openness, and searching. It is not locked in one moment of time, but is instead an unfolding, dynamic expression of God's will. Be open to divine leading. Understand that the road to transformation travels both inward and outward. The road to transformation is the path of the disciple. The call to discipleship is the call to love. It is a path that must be walked in humble service to God's creation. Amen.
Thank you, Sue, for those words. I read them earlier and moved me just as much again when I heard them from your voice. So thank you for that. Jane, I know you have some thoughts and a message from Landon for us. So over to you.
This is not going to be so eloquent. This is just going to be me sharing some thoughts from my head because you're my friends, and I just wanted not to have to find the perfect words, but to find the right words in this right moment, if that makes sense. I feel like things have become very unscripted with my life. And so with that same spirit, I want to share just a few elements of really significant things about my journey. We've all been in here in this gathering space together for a really long time, and things that I've sort of shared along the way. Most of you, I guess, are probably pretty aware of it. I want to tell you all that I was able to say, I knew instantaneously, and I knew clearly that night and the next day, I was able to see very clearly, I feel different. I do feel different. And it doesn't make sense that I should feel different because in so many ways, everything is the same. Having come from a faith community, which is one of the restoration movements, I carried with me a lot of pain and a lot of trauma, a lot of joy, and had to do so much rethinking, reframing. There's so much about my journey that I love and appreciate. And what I didn't want to happen was for my life from here on in to be a rejection of everything that I've sort of been through up until this moment of my journey. I don't want to throw all of that in the bin because that's part of who I am. It's this crazy space, this beautiful space is part of my DNA. It's written right through my heart. But most of you are probably aware that although I had decided, I've known for a long time, way way longer than a year, that I was choosing to be baptized, to formalize my relationship with Community of Christ and with you all, my friends. I wanted to be able to put a name to that. That said, this has been just a nice sort of slow, natural, normal, organic journey, as I think it should be. I didn't realize, though, that the saying goodbye and letting things go would have a huge effect on me. And so the first thing I wanted to mention was that when I formally resigned, which I had no intention of doing, when I formally resigned from my faith community previously, just after Easter, As I knew it would, it sparked a journey of grieving, of really being able to look and see what I valued, what I wanted to keep, but also to be able to start picking up broken pieces, see what I needed to get rid of, and see which pieces are valuable and needed to be kept. We know as we pick up broken pieces, sometimes it causes a little bit pain. Sometimes we can get cut as we do this. We need to be very safe. And so I tried my best to make sure that I was as supported as I possibly could be, that I would look after my mental health, that I had wonderful friendship supports from all walks of life, that I was looking after my physical health. And yet, I knew the time was coming when I needed to stop grieving. And I held on to this date for baptism as a really good way of being able to mark this time, this space, to be able to claim it as my own, as a rite of passage. It was a really helpful tool to allow me to do that. But 2 weeks before, 2 weeks before my baptism date, I woke up on Monday morning and I was sick. So I've mentioned the fact that I have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And for me, that doesn't look like not quite so much contamination and clean issues. For me, it's horrible thoughts. So just a trigger warning for any wee ones in the room and things. We've all had irrational thoughts. We've all had thoughts of things that we just don't do. If there is a bus that's passing along in front of us, we know what would happen if we just jumped in front of it? What would happen if in a car journey we just opened the car door? And we know it's a bit silly. And those thoughts just go. We don't give them any meaning. It's just a thing. It helps us to remember that we are safe, that we're in control in our own surroundings. Sometimes those thoughts, when we pay too much attention to them and ascribe those thoughts meaning that they really don't have, those buses that go past can be scary. Those car journeys, we might have to check that our seat belts are on and that we want to make sure our hands stay as far away from those doors as possible. Those are just some examples. For me, my thoughts end up kind of becoming about keeping my family, my friends safe. And so I knew in the run up to this few weeks, I have had some worrying thoughts about what if I was on Connections one day and I did something really, really bad and everyone could see just how horrible I am. And I get to remind myself that you're all wonderful and that thing that I'm thinking is just a thought. I don't have to be controlled by it. But that Monday, I woke up and y'all have heard, I would imagine, of my 24-year-old son, my middle son, who has special needs. He had died. He had died 3 weeks before. And I was so distressed because I had forgotten that he had died. And I could even very clearly remember being in hospital with him. And I knew that the reason this had happened was because people just didn't, because I wasn't accepting this tragedy. Obsessive compulsive disorder attacks the things that we care about most. And I kind of almost love that you guys, this little community, featured in one of those thoughts. This means that you're important to me. I honor that, but also I don't have to be controlled by it. So I got to go to hospital that night on the advice of my doctor. I got medication, lots of rest. I have been here before, and although it's extremely disturbing, I knew very clearly that it's time to stop grieving. Ronan was fine. I didn't have to keep checking to make sure that he was indeed still there, that I could see, that I could touch, that I could just have that reassurance. I didn't have to keep doing that. I could trust that this was part of my journey. Now, obviously, the following weekend, a whole bunch of people were planning to come up to Scotland and had made their plans and had booked accommodation for me, which was so significant. And yet everyone made it really clear to me that if I wasn't feeling for any reason, whether it was because I was sick or just because I changed my mind or just because I needed more time, that that was absolutely fine and that I had the space to do it. So I got sick, but also I got well. In that week when I had a chat with some of the people who had agreed to support in specific ways during my baptism, their advice was always wonderful. Their joy and their support of me gave me the ability to laugh and smile and put things in context. Previously, I had always been taught that the boat was a really important thing, that I was safe if I would stay in the boat. Nicknamed by some leaders in my previous faith community, the good ship Zion is one that looks out for other people, and that if we think about people who are perhaps in trouble in the waters, we are supposed to be able to go to the rescue. When I had a conversation with Andrew Fox in the run-up to my baptism, and he had shared the words from that beautiful hymn. I haven't had, I mean, I've had some lovely hymns. Community of Christ have got some really good hymns. There are some that I adore, but this one became mine. And he'd asked me to think about this as I prepared for my baptism. And just to re-emphasize those words. Sweet Lord, you have looked into my eyes, kindly smiling, you've called out my name. On the sand, I have abandoned my small boat. Now with you, I will seek other seas. As I thought about this, I was reminded that staying in a boat is not the destination. Zion is the destination, peace is the destination, being able to live and follow Christ. Pain is sometimes part of the journey, and grief is part of the journey, but the journey is not to stay in a boat. The journey is somewhere beyond the shore. And so we got to stand at the foot of Ben Lomond in the water, places that in history have been extremely significant for all sorts of reasons. While I was sick, everyone stepped up and made sure that I knew that I didn't have to overthink or worry about different aspects of my day. Everyone knew who I am. Everyone knew what's most important to me. Everyone knew that we needed space to be able to feel the spirit, space to be able to adapt and react to needs. And it was that the fact that they clearly knew who I am and what motivates me, that I got to feel absolutely nurtured in this community. I thought about in the run up to my baptism how when Jesus was baptized and the significance for him as an individual, that afterwards he would go into the wilderness to be tempted, to be given a really hard time unnecessarily. It was a bit rubbish. He must have been on his high from baptism, and there is so much that he now has to go and deal with. So I wanted to prepare for what might my 40 days after my baptism look like. And what I was very clear on was that I didn't want to leave any room for ifs. as Satan is tempting Jesus Christ in the wilderness, there's a lot of that word if, a lot of that word making him doubt. The thing that OCD does, what if? What if you have done this terrible thing? What if you will do this terrible thing? What if you're not that strong? What if you're weak? What if this isn't really what God wants for you? What if this is all your imagination? I didn't want to leave any room for that. And I, used the phrase, I didn't want to feel like this monster was going to be chasing me throughout my life. And so the night before my baptism, I got to say a very sacred goodbye with some very dear friends. In my previous faith community, there are items I still hold extremely sacred. There are items of clothing that we wear next to our skins, and I still consider them very sacred because they were sacred to me. And I want to honor that part of myself. And I wanted to say goodbye. I wanted to be able to appropriately and sensitively let them go. So we had a kind of campfire outside in my garden where we knelt in prayer, and my friends prayed with me as I thanked God for the time that I've had, for the safety that I felt, for the discomfort that I felt, and for the journey that I've been on, and returned them to the earth. So as the flames spread over them, that I wanted to make sure that everything that I did, everything that was significant, had been acknowledged, loved, and respectfully let go. As we planned my baptism, I remember there were so many times when Sarah and I would be, we were making a joke about the Loch Lomond monster putting in an appearance and Sarah being on safety duty with goggles and a pedalo, and she was reminding me that, oh, we're supposed to be really reverent. And it was so wonderful to remind each other that, we are allowed to laugh and smile now. I no longer have to live a life where the volume of my laughter or the tone of my laughter is having to be monitored, where I'm only welcome if I'm a particular type of person. So having said goodbye to that part of my life, I was welcomed by people who knew me, who love me, and who use their time and their resources to come all this way just to support me when I have felt so alone and isolated. That has been so significant, but no less significant than the people who have reached out and sent messages, the people who I know really wanted to be there and travel wasn't the right thing for them. All of you, all of the people who have been praying. So I loved the laughter in planning. I loved that as I don't have to think in the same reverent, serious way. I was baptized wearing my Def Leppard t-shirt, my favorite band, and a pair of jeans. People who came into the water with me, and that water was beautiful. I think we were all terrified of how that water was going to feel. And it was chilly at first, but then almost felt warm. Even for Scotland, that was a feat. I think we were just so warmed from inside. I know that there are people who were affected by the events of the day, that it's significant in their lives also. And that was what I knew my baptism was supposed to be. It wasn't just about me, it was about other people and that they were going to have their own experience. And I'm so delighted that I know that for so many people that did get to happen. That was its purpose. So I want to quickly share just Charlie's experience. Charlie's my husband, and y'all would love him. He's funny, he's sweet, he's completely inappropriate, likes to say things to shock and make people blush, and he's just a sweetheart and is so good and kind. He has never attended anything that my previous faith community would do. It was always so difficult for him. I was surprised that when we picked where I was going to be baptized, Charlie helped me choose. Charlie took me to go and have a look and see where that was going to be. He's always been incredibly supportive, but when he said that day that he was planning to be there to help, because of course I'll need to have, some assistance, and he can't just leave me there, with everyone. He's going to have, of course, he'll be there. Charlie would have done anything to get out of something like that previously. And so I wondered what was going on with Charlie. Why is he feeling so willing to sort of be around? Charlie had talked about possibly bringing his fishing rod and doing some fishing, which would have been totally fine. But that whole day, the whole day, Charlie stayed. Sometimes Charlie would stand further back from the group. Sometimes he would focus on our family dog who was there, as Grace well knows. The family dog took out Grace Turner, for which we are so sorry, and she lived up to her name, Grace. We saw Charlie standing on a wall, but also Charlie would chat with people, and Charlie stood right down at the loch side to watch the baptism. Charlie was so involved in the day, helping and just being willing. More than that, when the rain called off our day, we hoped to be there for the whole day. But eventually the rain did catch up with us, which was absolutely right, because I think God planned us to come back here and be able to come and chill out in our family home, just as it should be. Charlie didn't have to hide there either. And Charlie would always have hidden before. He would have felt anxious. He would have felt really worried. And to be blunt, because I probably could state this much more kindly, Charlie didn't feel like a piece of meat. Charlie didn't feel like everyone was circling him, making jokes about when he was going to be baptized. Charlie didn't feel that people were out to get him or make him feel uncomfortable, or that naturally everybody was going to want to talk about things that are so spiritual, that Charlie just was going to feel really uncomfortable. Charlie had a wonderful day, and Charlie has since spoke about how he wants to go and buy a wetsuit. He wants to go in Loch Lomond too, for different reasons. Thank you all so much that I can put my husband into your hands and he can feel safe. It's that's a miracle that you guys performed by being you. So thank you for that. And then Landon. Well, you've seen the kid. Landon is wonderful. Landon has powerful experiences to share. When I tell you that Landon's exhausted, what Landon wanted to be here, but between baptisms and pride events, and Landon has some things planned over the summer, Landon is exhausted. Landon came in to see me a few moments ago and was feeling a bit distressed. Landon talked about how they want to shave their head. They want to get a buzz cut, because when they are online, when they are around, and particularly other men are around, Landon doesn't feel safe. People make comments that I'm sure they think are incredibly flattering at the time, but it makes Landon feel exposed and uncomfortable. And as a transgender child, Landon has never felt safe. Landon hasn't been safe growing up. Landon doesn't feel safe at school. As we finished our day, to see Landon laughing and making friends, wandering off a little to the side and developing spontaneous relationships and having a chat. It was great to see. You can see that this is a community that's going to welcome Landon in. But what I have to tell you that is just so beautiful is that as we were preparing to walk, sort of as we were preparing to go home, as we were taking a little bit of time to kind of go and get changed and just make sure that everything was there, we were walking up to the sort of bathroom blocks. And Landon told me that this community makes her feel safe, makes them feel safe. And to go through your whole life, to make a statement like that when you've never felt safe, it's everything. Dear friends, you make us feel safe. You make us feel loved. And I am so happy to be able to walk with you guys in the direction you're going. This doesn't feel like a religion. Before I was baptized into organization, here I've been baptized to follow Christ and to be able to join in the walk with you guys. And I love you for supporting us our every step. Amen.
Thank you, Jane. Just before we have another short piece of music that was played during the day, I wanted to read something that Sarah wrote for us. Sarah has been with us a few times on Community Connections. She's got this really awful excuse that her granddaughter's getting married today, and for some reason she thinks that's acceptable to not be here. So I hope you'll all make it clear to her where her priorities should be. But she said, "One strong memory I will treasure from Saturday is the love that I felt from everyone and the acceptance and belonging. It was a day of community, love and grace, love, laughter and unity. It was very tempting to join Jane and Landon. Thank you all for being there." Brenda very nicely put in reply, "Next time temptation hits you, allow it to guide your actions. Just make sure you take a dry set of clothing with you." What we're going to do now is have one of the hymns that we sang, and then I'm going to invite some of the people who were present who feel comfortable in sharing their experience of our time together. So oh, wrong screen. Stop share. Where's it gone? As you can see from the pictures and you heard, we started the day, if you look at the top left-hand picture, heads uncovered, short sleeves, and then by the end of our time on the loch side, umbrellas and coats were on. But I think every one of us felt so richly blessed to be there and to be a part of it. So I'm going to ask if there's anybody who in particular who wants to share their testimony of their time. I think, yes, you should have a button which says react on your toolbar. And if you press that, up will pop something like a heart, and then I will know to call on you. Oh, Karen's already in. Karen, you were first. You're obviously used to Zoom more than some of the other people on our worship this evening. Karen, would you like to share some
I was
thoughts?
testing it. I suppose that's the spirit moving, isn't it? Jane, it was such an honor to be there for you in Landon. And you're right, the water was warm. It was a gorgeous place. I will forever remember it. Traveling up with Sue and Paul was wonderful to have that time together, but to be able to share with you, such a blessing, such an honor, and to be in your home as well. It was an incredible day with or without the rain. It was just wonderful to meet everyone as well, but to be part of that is something that's incredibly special. So thank you so much for that. And I should also mention there were people who were watching who weren't actually part of the day, but they were there. And I think it was just wonderful that even if it not intentionally, they felt something from that day and they took that away. And I hope that they had conversations with their friends and their family, and that day, just like in the loch, almost said the lake, but in the loch, it's like that ripple effect. So it's wonderful that we were able to share with so many people. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. And Ken and Grace, we had an explosion of hearts from you two. I don't know which button you found, but I need to find it.
Go on.
Jane, as I said, it's an experience I wouldn't have missed for anything. And there's already been said that hymn down by the loch shore, every time I sing it, I will think of you and Landon's baptism. As we sat around singing, it was that feeling, that special feeling you get at campfire. And there was such a feeling of peace I found. And after Jane's baptism, she did what Jesus did so many times. She sat down and fed her flock.
It was a wonderful day to share with Jane and Landon. It's always nice to have a baptism that isn't in a church, outside in nature, in a loch, in a lake, in the ocean. To be close to nature as you share in that sacrament is special. And that was a special day for each of us there. And I'm very grateful that we took the time to come up and to share with you all.
Thanks both. Anyone not oh, Andrew's mastered it now.
Jane, I want to first start by thanking you for that incredibly powerful testimony that you've just shared. That was amazing. It really was a really special day, and I could talk about all sorts of bits, but the thing that came to mind was as we sat on the lake shore in the afternoon and sang Rain Down, as the rain really did start to rain down on us, was really special. And then as it got even heavier, you saying, let's go back to my house. And as you said, I don't think that was a coincidence. It was so right that they were back at your house. And whilst there, Wayne and Emma led a beautiful communion service. And the spirit for me was just so powerful in your house at that time. and just made a perfect ending to a perfect day.
Thanks, Andrew. Paul?
How do you know it was me? No, I too was out in the water. I was the safety guy for Sue, really, just to make sure that we didn't go out too far, because she didn't like deep water too much. But to be so close by as Jane and Landon were baptized was an amazing experience, even though I wasn't actually doing the baptizing, to be there. And to be there as Landon dropped a few a few of the ashes of Lucy into the water to be with her as she was baptized. That was an amazing time. And so, yes, a truly amazing day being out in the loch. And it wasn't that cold. Didn't really need the wetsuit, but it was good to have it just in case.
You could tell who the softy Southerners were, couldn't you, Jane? There was you and Landon in jeans and shirts, and everybody else in wetsuits. I just wanted to share two things. One was I was actually very nervous coming up. There was somebody there who I had been hurt by, and I was really unsure how I was going to respond to that, being aware very much that I was there to help provide ministry to you and was dealing with that myself. But as I walked down to that place, that sacred spot, I was healed of all of that. And the first time I was able to reach that person, I hugged them and we held each other, and the pain went away. And that is what it's all about. It's about finding that sacred space and being healed. And I was so humbled and privileged that you asked me to confirm you into a strange, imperfect community that is Community of Christ, full of unusual, different people, each of whom brings something so special in their diversity to our community. And that is the blessing of community, that we are all different, that we don't try to conform to a particular mold. We don't dress in a particular way. We are who we are, death, leopard, t-shirts and all. The Lord welcomes that because that is who we were made to be. So we welcome you into our family of faith. Wayne, I saw that you bubbled up.
We did. Heather's going to speak.
I just want to say how blessed I felt to be able to be there and to be blessed to be part of the day. I'm going to say, Jane, I'm going to use one of your words. It was beautiful. I just can't describe it as anything else. Yourself and Landon are amazing people. But I'm also going to focus on Charlie a little bit as well, if that's okay, even though it was your special day, because the conversation that I had with Charlie over cake was, again, beautiful. I felt as if we'd known each other for years, and it was just so nice how he felt so comfortable to be a part, as much as he wanted to be. And to me, that was really, really nice. And I just thought it was just a perfect end to such a beautiful day.
Yeah, and the scripture that I shared for the communion was about Jesus breaking the bread in the house. So to be back at your house and breaking the bread at your house was just incredible, and it was meant to be. Thank you, Jane. It was a lovely, lovely time.
Thanks both. Michael, you weren't there, but we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I was going to say that I wasn't there, but I was over thrilled and jumping for joy when I could see the pictures of you baptism. I remember go back to the first time I met you when we come up and we stayed in your oldest son's place, but I can remember doing communion with you there. I've been with Andrew today to Nuneaton, and he was telling me a bit about, coming for communion and stuff. When I first met you there and the people with you there and the family and everybody, I could feel God and I could see Jesus in you all. And I'm just really thrilled that you're with us now and you're part of our church family. And I love you all. So
Thank you, Michael.
And can I just say, Michael is the person who inspired me first, and I still use those examples of how you worship, of how Community of Christ is something that we do, as you say, Richard, that worship can look so unique. And thank you, because your ministry has inspired me.
Thank you all for sharing. As you know, we're recording this, and this will be a part of Jane's memory bank, so that if times become hard, which they will, you have this to fall back on and listen to the words of encouragement and love that we have for you. I know we're trying to organize some regular visits from various people, and we'll do that. As long as I don't have to drive on the start of the summer holidays, I will be one of those who comes up and sees you. So God bless you for that. So we're going to close with a hymn that we also used during the day. And then, if you are comfortable, we will close with the mission prayer. Meeting Jane and Sarah and a bunch of other people has brought new meaning to this prayer, even though we've only had it as something that we use for a few years now. Being fully awake and ready to respond is our call. And we know that when we do, we are granted courage to risk something new. And when we do that, we become a blessing of God's love and peace, if you say it with me. God, where will your spirit lead today? Help me to be fully awake and ready to respond. Grant me the courage to risk something new and become a blessing of your love and peace. Amen. Thank you all for being a part of this rewind, I think they're called. And for those who are available to join us, Elizabeth Else, who was on earlier, she's had to leave us. She's off to a reunion in a home area, but she's going to be leading Sacred Pause this coming Sunday, with communion. So hopefully you can be a part of that with her.